I'd like to welcome Wyclef Jean, the Haitian alien, Grammy-winning musician, activist, former candidate for president of Haiti, actor, bass-playing extra in music videos for Rakim and Eric B. The list goes on. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
How are you, man?
I'm doing great.
I like that, man. That's the illest intro I ever had. I keep telling them I'm a Haitian alien, and finally, someone has gotten it right.
You were Will.i.am before Will.i.am was Will.i.am.
Ah, you see, you bars.
So thanks for being here at South by Southwest.
you.
You've said in an interview that something like, once you lose the pulse of the youth, you lose your sensibility of music. You've been around a long time in the music game, and now you're here at South by talking about your project Back to School, which is a collab with college kids. Tell me what that is and how that came about.
Well, it's 2019, so how do Wyclef put music out for you to pay attention to it? My whole career has always been on discovery. Even if you go back to the score, 70% of the people on the score, you don't know who they are. So if I was like, Akon was on the score, you'd be like, what? Let me go back and really check. So what we did was think of a new form of curation in 2019, where when Wyclef presents Wyclef Goes Back to School, 80% of the kids on these projects are kids throughout universities and colleges that you will never have heard if I do not put them on this project. So we call it, it's not a reality show, but the reality, where we actually show up in the schools, right? This is how the Fugees got discovered, Beyonce, you know, because I came up in that era. So I believe like there's two things. There's the social media aspect, where there's the 100 million views. I'm all for that. But then the Amy Winehouse might only have 5 views. So so with the Wyclef Goes Back to School project, it's a project based as a producer, but my new form of curation is actually producing the talent that you're listening to.
So can you tell me an example of how you actually connected with one of these artists and you said, oh, there's a spark here, I want to work with you?
So I was teaching, I was going to the universities, touring, and then I would do these master classes. So within the master classes, we did something called Battle of the Stages, right? And Battle of the Stages, right? You ain't see it on TV, no online and nothing. It was just the students. And literally, the students would prepare compositions knowing that I was coming. And then they would go through, and through the compositions, I would listen to everything, and I wouldn't say who actually is going to be on the album, like right there. I basically told all of the kids what they should do, and I gave them, because you know, like, judge be quick to criticize, like, you're not doing this right, you're not, okay, I know I'm not doing this right, well, what should I be doing?
Yeah.
So I more gave them the direction of what they should be focused on. And I was doing that through the country. Now, when I got back to the studio, of course, I go through all this curation. And as I'm creating, I'm like, oh, who could be a young Adele? You know what I mean? And then we go, oh, Maura Mack from USC. And then I send her a record called Demons and Joy. And she jumps on that and be like, yo, who got that, you know, Erica Badu swag? You know what I mean? And say, oh, she goes to NYU, you know? And so this is how the whole thing took place. So you can imagine the students, like, when they got the phone call, like, yo, you're gonna be on the next Wyclef project. And it's really dope.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm curious to know, either when you were at those universities or after, when you started actually collaborating with them, what are some examples of the things that you learned where you're like, oh, man, all right, this is a remix of what I thought was reality, and this is something new to me?
Well, I play a lot of instruments.
Is it
you know?
20, right?
I play a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's like
well, I mean, people be like, yo, why you play? Dude, when you in the hood, you gonna do something, right? So my friends are great in basketball, and I could not jump to save my life. You know, my other boys, man, they're like video expert. Like, I'm surprised, like, they don't own the whole gaming industry. That's how long they've been like gaming, you know? So me, it was all about instruments. But I literally said, on Wyclef Goes Back to School, I'm just, through the kids, I learned a brand new instrument. I just learned how to play the computer.
Okay.
Right? So keep in mind, so when I was working with Avicii, you know, it was, right, so Tim would show up, and it'd be a laptop, right? And then I would show up with a guitar, right? So to imagine the generation. And whenever Tim wanted something with a live element, he'd be like, yo, Clef, give me that eclectic shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's so funny because I was showing him a lot about how the live sessions work and and then in return, I'm like, yo, what do you, he's like, man, look, Clef, man, if I'm thinking Ray Charles, then automatically, if I just go on the MIDI, you know, I literally can put the dots 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what I'm saying? So before you even could put your finger down, I could hit one button, and I guarantee you, I have the Ray Charles chord before you. And then so with all these college kids, it was just interesting to see what they're working on, right? So they work on Fruity Loops, they work on Ableton, they work on Logic, right? So this was cool because literally, can you imagine what happens when Wyclef Jean has figured out how to work his Logic, his Ableton, his Fruity Loops, and combine it with the live sessions, you know what I mean? So that's really what I learned from the kids. I took a lot of, tech notes for sure.
Did you just say the phrase eclectic-ish? Is that what you just said? That's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So recently, I read that you got your DNA ancestry results and you found out that you are 100% Nigerian.
Baba.
And one of your songs is Baba, that's part of this collaboration, and has a very serious social political tone to the lyrics and to the video visuals. It was really impressive to me and moved me. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so Baba, they always say you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you're from. So it was important for me because I was like, people be like, yo, you're completely fearless. Like, what makes you think like you can run for president of Haiti? You know what I mean? Like, we seen you on the ground, like you go into gang territories, like you leaders, like, what is it? So I have a warrior spirit. So when I took my DNA test, it all made sense to me. And then the video Baba, this song, is a song where we actually celebrating the idea of your ancestors and defiant. And a lot of times in history, my daughter's 13, and in Black History Months, we see they do the replays of the dog biting the person, the water hose, right? She sees all this stuff. The pictures from the hanging, right? So, but what about Nat Turner? I mean, the revolutionary. Show me, okay, if you're gonna put me in a noose, show me that we got out of the noose, right? So the idea of the video was to say, no matter what you try to do to hold us, and in captivity, through all of the suffering, we broke out of it. You know what I mean? So that was the representation of the Baba video. And honestly, we got a lot of resistance from, certain platforms. They didn't feel that the content was appropriate, but I was like, it's definitely appropriate because if you can take champagne and pour it on a woman and she's naked and that content works for you, then I should be able to give the kids a little food for thought.
Of course, a lot of people are getting their DNA tested these days, and it is certainly grist for conversation at cocktail parties. Everyone wants to talk about, their results, myself included. And for it to manifest in this way, where not only is it in the music and in a music video, but also has a serious social political undertone, is kind of, I think, what is almost most useful about DNA results when it comes to where you're from.
No, 100%, you know what I mean? And it helps you convey the message, Like in Baba, I think one of the quotas is once upon a time in America, this Jersey boy lived in Utica. When Nancy Reagan said, say no to drugs, her hubby, Ronald Reagan, was the plug. Now, I'm not saying nothing that we don't know or we see documentaries of. It's just that information is always important. And then taking your DNA test, it just even makes you even bolder to say, okay, I have to say these things because, my ancestors fought so that I could speak, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Switching gears a little, you are an established artist who's seen the industry change. You were there, you were already established when Napster occurred. We're in a publish or perish era of music. AKA the era of singles and hits from artists like Future and Drake and Young Thug. How are you specifically navigating this new era with your art? Albums versus singles, remixes, Pop the Trunk productions?
Well, I think that it started with a record called Hendrix. So if you go back, and because, I mean, whether we talk, Young Thug, his song is called Wyclef Jean, right? So I said, and I'll say it again, it don't matter the era. Because if Drakey listened to the Carnival, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can hear him freestyling at 14 years old. But they know who Earth, Wind, and Fire is, right? When Earth, Wind, and Fire come on, we all go, do you remember? Right? So we navigate through great songs, right? Because it don't, after this interview, everyone go listen to Hendrix, right? By Wyclef Jean, and you be like, damn, well, how did you miss this, right? You might have missed it, but 50 million kids streamed it, right?
Yeah.
So the way that you stay, I always say, the pulse is in the youth. So at the end of the day, if the way how music is put out changes, right? So, and the sound changes, the song don't change. So if I'm writing a song about Hendrix and I call it acoustic trap, it means that I threw the electronic sonics over the guitar, right? But the voice of Wyclef, I still gotta be Wyclef. So I think that's what makes it incredible. You have to keep up with the technology, keep up with the social media. And a lot of my peers, like from the 90s, right, very few of us are still around and very strong. And then, also a lot of us be like, yo, this is not music, that's music.
Yeah.
And then, so the where I'm from, whenever you talking like that, it just means like you can't keep up with the race.
That's
You know what I'm saying?
That's what I
Like,
think, yeah.
I'd be like, yo, if you can keep up, and I'll take you even a step further. I did an entire mixtape. I think, what was the mixtape called? Inspired, right? Inspired. Yeah, so, because all of these young kids were showing me so much love, where I did a mixtape called Inspired, and I took all of their songs. Like, I took Kendrick Lamar, DNA, I took a Drake song, Kodak Black, and I flipped the song. So I took their songs and I flipped it, like Clef 2018, 2019. So when you send this kind of signal to the kids, it's not like you're saying, they're not going, oh man, Uncle Wyclef was dope in the 90s. They're going, yo, damn, Unc still got it. Like, I want to be like Unc. Like
Or who is this new artist,
years.
Wyclef,
Exactly.
Like,
That's one of my favorite ones. Like, yo, what was the one funny one? It's like, yo, man, Thugger got this new artist, Wyclef Jean. He crazy. He from Haiti. I love it.
I was thinking something about like that this morning when I was listening to MIA's Paper Planes, and I was thinking, what if Diplo and The Clash had ever gotten to meet? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What would have happened?
Yeah, big time.
You were talking about technology a moment ago. And are you working on a hip-hop guitar?
Yes, sir. For sure. So, my space has always been the instrument space, like Dr. Dre with the headphones. So I love instruments. So we're in an era where everything is app related. So I literally can watch my daughter. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm just learning these few chords on the piano through this app. So I feel as we move to the future, what makes it a hip hop guitar, Clef? Because in our generation, I am the first hip hop guitarist ever. What makes me say that, right? I'm not on my Little Richard shit. What makes me say that is the first rap record ever is acoustic, is the Vocab with the Fugees. That's me rapping and playing guitar at the same time.
Okay.
It do not exist. You've never seen that before then. So how was I able to do that in the hood then, right? So that means like I could sit on my guitar, I would play Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers. I could play Mobb Deep. But at the same time, I could play Thelonious Monk. At the same time, I could play Carlos Santana. The word hip hop is an eclectic word. So the idea is to come up with an instrument, being like I taught myself how to play guitar in 1 hour. So I've created algorithms where basically, you'll be able to, as we move further with the guitar, you should be able to say, play Wu-Tang. and literally through your app, I give you the fingering. But I don't want to tell you what to play. So anything within the hip hop catalog, as we move forward, it's like the real version of like a Guitar Hero, right? Because it's the actual musician himself. So I physically want the kids to play. I need the Migos to put this in their videos. I need, so all of this, like, Thugger is waiting for a guitar from me. So the idea is, as we move into this new era, I, as a musician who plays physical instruments, this is a way where we can take the guitar art to the next level. Because if you look at the guitar industry, no matter what they say, there's a part of it which is dying.
Sure.
Within our culture, right? Because we came up with the era where, you know what I'm saying? Like, we'd be like, yo, people are using instruments, you know what I mean? So I want to get back to that.
When is that going to come out?
2 years from now,
Okay.
which is a very short time, you know what I mean? So you know what I'm saying? It's no joke, like when you build an alpha, man, it takes time.
So Beto O'Rourke just announced his candidacy for president of the United States. And you ran for president of Haiti, but couldn't ultimately completely compete because of a technicality. And you've given a lot of thought to this and heard you say a lot of different things about running for any candidacy. And I was curious if you had anything to say or any advice for any of the candidates that will be running in 2020.
Well, I think the reality of is that the first thing is the capital word, propaganda. And so, for example, like the idea of like Iran and then the technicality, and Haiti within the Constitution, there was nothing that said I couldn't run, but propaganda is the number one thing. So when you're running, you have to make sure that you have a team on the defense, right? Because literally, they are gonna come at you with everything that they could possibly come to basically distract the audience on what you really want. The word opposition is really a real word. I didn't really know what that word meant till I actually ran, you know what I mean? I think that it's great to run because at the end of the day, there's no greater thing that I've recognized ever in my life than public service. The idea of wanting it, you know, it's more than giving back. Because what it is right, when you decide that you're going to do public service, right, you ain't gonna get nothing in return, right? Because you be like, hold up, I thought I was helping these folks, right? And they gonna come at you heavy. So at the end of the day, when you put yourself in the forefront and say, you know what, I'm gonna speak in behalf of these people for healthcare because they don't have healthcare. I'm gonna speak in behalf of these immigration policies because we need that. You know, I'm gonna speak on climate change. You put yourself in the forefront, you know, so I commend anyone that puts himself in the forefront to help their country.
Put themselves out there. What is, if you could, we're running out of time. Can you quickly tell us about your animated series that might be cooking?
Yeah. So the first Wyclef Jean movie, right, that's gonna come out will be animation on my first 9 years in the village in Haiti.
Okay.
And the synopsis, right, real quick, is how do we escape poverty? Through imagination. So kids that seen Pinocchio, Cinderella, right? I'm targeting the 6 to 12. Now here's a real dude. The Prince of Port-au-Prince is really Wyclef. And how did we do it? We use imagination to escape poverty. And within this animation, we'll show like whether if you a kid in Afghanistan, whether if you in the Gaza, whether if you in Brooklyn and y'all all 3 years old and I put y'all in the same place, we all have the same needs, we have the same wants, we want the same toys, we want to play along. And that's the idea of this animation. This is real, true, you know, struggle story of how we can get to where we need to go.
And when is that? When can we expect that?
The animation is probably a 2-year mark. So all the kids, you know, if you have kids, you know, like when you're watching like Prince of Port-au-Prince, you'd be like, yeah, no, it's a real guy. Let me show you what the guy will look like.
That's cool. That's really dope. We're almost out of time, but I know that you play a lot of instruments. I thought it was 20, maybe it's 17, maybe it's 22. But as far as I'm aware, your favorite instrument to play is the cafeteria.
Yeah, this one.
And I was wondering if maybe you could play the cafeteria out for us before we leave.
We're gonna play the cafeteria out. My girl Jazzy on the side. come on the camera and flip a little ride. Yeah, we in the cafeteria. I used to do this back in the days in cafeteria. Even though the principal ain't like it. Back in the days, Wyclef, I used to bring the riots like,
Something like this, right? Our love is true and through, and though we made it through the storm, I really want you to realize, I really want to put you on. I've been searching for someone to satisfy my every need. Won't you be my inspiration? Be the real love that I need. Yeah, real love.
yeah.
Like, hey, I'm searching for a real love. Someone to set my heart free. Real love. I'm searching for a real love.
That was dope, man. Good.
Thank you so much. I think we are out of here. Thank you so much for spending time with us, Wyclef,
Thank
Jazzy. And thank you for watching South by Southwest Live. Stay tuned to southbysouthwest.com/live. There is so much more to watch today. Thank you.
Cool, baby.
That was fun.
That was dope. I didn't know you played.